Hello, everybody. So, welcome back to another Saturday evening of Embracing Boundlessness. And as I have shared with the rest of the individuals in the group who are present tonight, we're going to change things up just a little bit. As if you've attended the last couple of weekends, one of the things that I recognized was that there were some transitions going on between the interface between myself and the rest of me that I termed Desatu. And so there's been some information shared back and forth in that regard. And so what they want to do is they want to present that interface in a less formal manner, perhaps I'd say. So in that, what you've gotten used to here is me taking a moment and to say to moving more to the forefront and a statement that kind of makes that clear that that's occurred, and then we move forward into it. But what we're going to do is something a little different, and you'll experience that today. So I do know that what's gone on is I've had some information that's flowed my direction in the past couple of days. The overall theme of what they're going to share today, what we're going to share today, is on the topic of perception. But there'll be, I know, a bunch of things that'll be tied into that because I've already gotten little pieces that have slid in today. So, so, so we'll get started. So, typically, the idea of perception and the definition that you've given it is largely, but not totally, but largely associated with the senses. You perceive something through your eyes, through your ears, you smell something, you touch something, you taste something. You have a knowingness and awareness of something that usually has to do with one of your senses, though not always. But it's typically thought of as some sort of awareness of the things that are going on around you. And so the slant that we would like to give this, and we're not the first, is that perception, from our perspective, is in the moment, we'll call it a tool, a part of the way that you create your experience. And in fact, it's the primary tool you use to create your experience. So, in this, even if you visit the idea just briefly now, to again pull into your awareness that, in fact, what you are is an eternal expression of consciousness, unlimited and infinite. You have the experience of you being the body, but of course, the reality of what you are is much, much more than that. As that you are constantly projecting energy, continuously, perpetually. And in this experience, your physical experience, that projection of energy, as you have configured the tool of perception within this particular physical dimension, reflects that energy back to you. So, what goes on is, and you can look at it in a couple of ways. You can look at it as a loop where you project your energy out, and of course, you're projecting it through your beliefs and other things that filter, shall we say, your energy. So, it's projected out, and we'll say it like this to make it flow a little easier for you. So, even though there's no separation between this you and the you that knows itself as infinite, But again, for the sake of what we're talking about now, we're going to say it in this manner. So you project that energy out, and it projects, we will say in this moment, towards that larger you. And that larger you reflects it back to you. And it reflects it back to you with all of the things that you put into it, so you can see what it is that's there. You can see the beliefs. You can see all of your expectations. You can see everything that's there, because that is then what creates your experience. It creates your physical experience. It creates the feeling states you have. It creates the thoughts that come through your mind. All of those things are a reflection of the energy that you have projected. And then, as you receive that energy that's been reflected to you, you do one of two things typically. You either recognize that reflection and you choose what you want to do with that, or you react to it. It depends on your awareness of yourself as you're experiencing that reflection. This projection of energy is going on, as we said, continuously. When you walk into a room, regardless of where it is, in terms of time, as you think of it, you have projected the way that that room is going to look, the way it's going to feel, the individuals that are in it, if there are anybody that's in it, all the things that comprise that room, you have projected and created in terms of time, we'll say, before you entered the room. Or you could say, understanding that that process is incredibly rapid at the moment that you enter that room. You do the same thing with your surroundings. You create whatever your dwelling is, you create the woods around you, the streets around you, everything that's there is your creating. That's the projection of your energy that's going around you all the time. And then you reflection. Now, of course, as you do all of this, you're associating with the ideas of this physical reality. There, of course, is a collective energy, and there is, perhaps we'll say, a blueprint that was created in association with the ideas of how this physical dimension was going to be expressed. And so those things are there as well. And so you utilize those things as a general template, and then you project your energy out, and then you receive a reflection of that energy back to, shall we say, this portion of yourself to then experience. And as we said, it's going on perpetually, day or night. You're doing it with your body. Your body is a reflection of your ideas about the body, about your beliefs about the body, about the influences that you get from other individuals around you, about bodies. You do this with many things. There are many ideas in your reality that, as you project your energy, you include in that projection, and then they're reflected back to you. The concept of time is one of those. How time is linked to change is one of those. All of the ideas that you have within this particular physical reality are things that you project out. Now, as you may be aware, what you receive back in that reflection is going to be different than what other individuals receive back in their reflections, because, of course, all of you are unique in that regard. Even if two of you are walking down the street, basically, in your perspective, having a very similar experience. There's uniqueness to your experience. And you've seen this in many, many, many ways, where individuals, a group of individuals are walking down a sidewalk during a particular day, and let's say the spring, summer, or fall, and they're all experiencing the temperature a little bit differently. Or you have a group of friends that went to watch a movie, and as you talk about it later, you all experienced really a movie that was a little bit different. Or you go to a restaurant and you all had the same meal at the restaurant, and you all say something different about what that meal was like. And it happens in many, many, many different ways. You're showing yourself really all the time that there's a uniqueness about who and what you are that is there consistently for you. So the idea of your projection of energy and the reflection that you get back is something that's very nice for you to be aware of and to pay attention to. Because if you're paying attention to what your projection is, then you have some information about what it is that you have put into that projection when you get that reflection back to you. And then you can make some choices about alterations that you would like to make in that regard. Now, of course, there are other things that are associated with that. There will be feeling states that you will get as well. Now, also showing up in your reality are those communications from the rest of who and what you are. Intuition, impulses, impressions, dream states, daydreams, information that even shows up as part of your physical reality. All of that is showing up as well, which is not part of the projection, of course, that comes from this expression of you, but comes from you to augment the information that you're coming from other places. And in fact, that information is there to help you to be able to choose as that reflection comes back to you and not to react as that information comes back to you. What's nice about the concept is that if you pay attention to the alterations you make, and if you become familiar, and it does take a little bit of practice, but most of you have been at this for a little bit of time, and you have an awareness of the state of your inner being. You know if you're calm, you know if you're upset, you know what it is that's making you upset by and large. You certainly know what emotions you have going on at any particular time. And then if you're observant, you can pay attention and observe the reflections that come your way as a result of what your inner state is in that moment or has been. And we would suggest to you that when you have those reflections show up, to pay attention to what was it that your inner state was just a short time before that. Because most typically, the reflection you're going to get is of that. Now, of course, all of you also carry energy with you, shall we say, of what you might call historical times when you had various experiences. But what goes on typically is that whatever is going on in the moment somehow is associated or triggers that particular memory, maybe we'll call it in this particular moment. Because, of course, you carry all your feeling states within the physical self, the body, consciousness. All of those things are expressed, all your feeling states are expressed through that expression of your energy. You have the total freedom to be able to do whatever it is you would like to do with your reality. And the reason that we mention this at this time is that as you moved into this millennium, more than any other time in terms of history prior to this, that has become true for you. The freedom that you have to be able to express yourself in ways that feel correct to you are greater than what they've ever been before. Something else that has gone on for you is that you're becoming increasingly aware that goals that you once held to be important don't seem to have the same sway over them that they once did. And that's because within consciousness, and we'll use an example, let us say that there is a particular project that you'd like to do, whatever that project may happen to be. And as you contemplate that project, of course, you're using your imagination. And you might imagine that product, that place that you may be at, whatever it might happen to be, and what it will maybe look like and feel like in that place. And so the way that imagination works is that imagination gives you the ability to access expressions that are going on within consciousness. If they weren't existent within consciousness, they wouldn't show up as part of the imagination. So, as you access the goal, we'll call it, the finality of the project, the job, the destination of the vacation, the art project you're going to do, whatever it might happen to be, the finished product, as you access, as you imagine what that might happen to be, and it happens typically very quickly, and sometimes you alter it a little bit. What that tells you in the moment is that that exists within consciousness, which means it exists within you. So what that means for you is that really there is nothing for you to acquire because it already exists within you. What's interesting to you as consciousness is the path that you will take to it. All of the experiences, all the choices that you will make between, we'll phrase it in the moment, here and there. That is what the expansion of consciousness is about. Those are the parts that are in the moment unknown yet. The experiences that you will gather as you move toward that idea that you had. It is that in the moment, just to emphasize the juxtaposition yet that goes on, it is that the eternal you revels in, wide experiences and explores all of what it is. To have those types of things go on. And as all of you move closer to the remembrance of who and what you are, as your amnesia slowly slips away, you'll find yourself moving closer and closer and closer to that. What is it that actually interests me? What am I actually curious about? What actually inspires me? Not that there's a particular goal that I have to get to for a particular reason. Because what you're looking for are the experiences. Those are, in effect, the lifeblood of consciousness, the experiences. Because you have never gotten to a goal and then stopped there. Anytime you get someplace, then you move forward from that particular place. Artists know this well, whether it's musicians or sculptors or painters, whatever it might happen to be. It's very few artists that write one song, paint one painting, or sculpt one piece and are satisfied. That's not the way that it works. And it's, yes, they love, of course, the completion of all of the experiences, but it's the experiences that are how all of that comes together. And that's true of anything. Doesn't matter if you're cooking a meal. Doesn't matter if you're in school heading towards a particular job. It's all of the experiences that you're having towards that goal that are what it is that you revel in. And this will become something that individuals around your planet will find becomes part of their personality in an increasing way. And so, of course, what happens as you transition between being goal oriented and oriented towards the experiences that you're always after is you're not quite going to know how to steer yourself in those particular waters. They're different waters now. And so individuals around your planet, as Chuck is in conversation with various individuals who own businesses, and as they hire individuals, they find that the individuals that are out there to hire are what they consider to be unreliable. They don't show up when they're supposed to show up. They don't seem interested in doing the job that they decided that they wanted to take. And many, many things like that. Individuals in the jobs that they have are becoming restless in those jobs. And they don't know why they're restless in those jobs. It's because as they become more and more of the rest of who and what they are, the reasons why they're creating what they're creating are changing, are moving more towards what we'll call in this moment a natural state. So, this you will see around your planet in an increasing way. It's why individuals that explore in the way that all of you explore utilize the language that they do about conscious creating and are moved to create the things that they want to create in the way that they want to create them because they have opened the doors and are a little closer, shall we say, than a lot of people are to the feeling state of creating things for themselves in that particular way. And of course, both of these things go hand in hand because as you make that movement to creating for the reasons that you actually want to create, the energy that you're projecting is different. And then the reflection that you have coming back is different. And as you observe and are observant about how your world changes around you as you make different choices, you'll see that mechanism, perhaps we'll call it, in effect. How your reflections are always moving, always dynamic, or they like to be dynamic. You can attempt, and many people do, to keep your life the same in many, many, many different ways. But all of you who are here have agreed to be part of this shift in consciousness. And of course, you'll be exploring it your own ways. But one thing that it does mean universally is change. Nothing is going to stay the same. And so you will have change in your life, and you will see a great deal of change around you. Something else we'll mention just briefly with this is that, and we'll approach this from the personal level. So we've shared with you before that one of the things that all of you are doing as well on this journey to having a very different experience of your consciousness is you're neutralizing beliefs, not getting rid of beliefs, because beliefs are a part of the template of this particular physical reality. But what you are doing is you are putting yourself in the primary position where you will have a freedom to choose, understanding you're the one that's creating your experience and you do it with the beliefs. It's like somebody who's a painter and they're sitting at the easel and the canvas they have there and all the various colors they have in front of them. And they're choosing which colors they want to use to put on that canvas. You will move and you are moving towards being able to do the same thing with beliefs. And in that regard, it will become neutral. It will not seem like the belief is driving you to use it. In that, your experience of your existence will change. The energy that you reflect, that you have reflected back to you as you project it, will be something that's different. And so there are a variety of changes that are going on your planet at this moment. So as you create experiences for yourself, that collaboration between this aspect of you and the part of you that understands it's infinite, as in that collaboration, you create experiences to help you understand the beliefs that you utilize in your life. What it does is it brings you situations so that they become obvious to you, so that you can see them. You see them repeatedly until you understand, yes, this is what I'm using. And then you get the opportunity to choose. Do I want to continue to use it in that way? And typically you use influence from those individuals around you to help you with those choices. Because many times people do that. They may find themselves in school, let's say, high school level, perhaps college level, and they find themselves associating with a group of friends, and they all have, let's say, an interest in skateboarding, and you haven't skateboarded at all. But because of the camaraderie you have, because of the connections that you have, you choose to add that to what it is that you do. And you adopt that expression in your life, which is a way of expressing particular beliefs. You do that with many, many, many things. So, similarly, your planet needs to do the same thing because your planet is made up of individuals. And so you will make themes on your planet large so that you can't help but notice them. And then you will collectively choose. And again, you've already made the choice to do this shift. The shift is not in question. How you will get there and how smooth or bumpy it may be, those are the unknowns yet. Because, of course, they're your choices individually and collectively as you move towards the shift. And always keep in mind the power of your own ability to have your experience, even if you're surrounded by a lot of challenge, be much less challenging or perhaps not challenging at all as all of that's going on around you. Because again, you get to configure the energy around you and present it to yourself in the way that you believe that you can do that. And we'll use that word in this particular moment. So we believe that we've shared enough with you at this particular moment about these ways of looking at the things that are going on around you and the movement that you have going on. If you have questions, if there's any of those ideas you would like expanded, please go ahead and say that you have a question in the chat, and Willow will tell you that you can go ahead and do that.
I just have a comment on that. I think it's very interesting that our perceptions are not based solely on our beliefs or our vibrational level, but our expectations and emotions as well.
We will share more with you about the mechanism of perception as we move forward. There are influences to that mechanism, beliefs being the strongest of those. There are as well foundational components to that mechanism. And there are differences in the foundational components that individuals choose when they present, we'll call it in this moment, a focused personality into the experience. Because again, remember, you are explorers of your own energy perpetually, of consciousness perpetually. This dimension is no different. You choose physical dimensions and this physical dimensions because it interests you to explore the template of what this place is all about. None of you do it the same. And so you have devised, as part of this particular physical dimension, certain models that you can utilize, we'll call them that in this moment, that will provide you with very different ways of perceiving. As an example, we are quite aware that Chuck and Willow perceive their realities in very different ways. Yes, they can speak about their realities. Yes, they can get along in their realities, but their perceptions of their realities are very different. And it's as the result of this foundational choice in the way that you use perception with this particular focused personality. So there are a couple of these, and then beliefs are strong influences and filters in your personality. Feeling states as well. And we would make just briefly here a distinction between a feeling state and an emotion because they are not the same thing. And we will expand on that at some later time as well.
And I'm guessing what else came to me while you were explaining that was our soul is actually absorbing many different versions of us, exploring many different perspectives of each event and building on that as well. It's fantastic.
Indeed. And imagine, if you would, that you walk outside your home in this moment. And even though it may scandalize you as we say this, you are unclothed and you walk around your neighborhood. To make it easy on you, let's say there's nobody else there. You're walking around your neighborhood. Middle of the day, sun's out. And then you go back in the house and you throw on a pair of pants and a t-shirt and some shoes. And you go out and you walk around your neighborhood again. Then you go back in the house and you throw a pair of ski pants on and a medium weight jacket and a stocking cap. And you go and you walk around the neighborhood again. And then you come back in the house and you put on something that's called the snowmobile suit, something that's very thick, very warm. And you go out and you walk around again in your neighborhood this time of year for about a half hour. And in each one of those experiences, because you have added different filters to your experiences, in this instance, reflected by the clothing, you have a different experience. This is what your beliefs do for you, is they give you a different experience. Now, who is it that has the experience? You do. As you walk around your neighborhood, the clothing changes your experience, but you're having the experience. As you find yourself within physical reality, your beliefs and your perception bring your experience to you in a particular way, but please make no mistake, you are having the experience. It is not the rest of you in some distant place that somehow gets the information about your experience. You are in attendance here. You are having the experience. You're having it through a filter, yes, but you are having the experience. All of you is having the experience.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Anita, you can ask your question.
Thank you, Willow. Um,
A little louder, please.
thank you. Oh,
That's nice.
Is
That's
that
good.
okay? All right. Um, thank you very much to Setu and Chuck for speaking with us. And my question is, the Setu, you mentioned about the natural state. What do you mean by that?
When we mention the natural state, what we're talking about is the idea that many of you still hold on to, and again, this is not wrong, of that larger part of you. that part of you that you may reference and say, perhaps you would say the oversoul, perhaps you would say essence, perhaps you would say that part of you, that non physical you that understands itself to be eternal, whatever you want to say. When we reference the natural you, that's what we were referencing, was that aspect of yourself. And so, again, in this time period, liken yourself to an individual who took a slip and a fall and hit their head. And when they came to, they had amnesia. This is basically what you did with yourself here. Now you're in the process of remembering who you are. Your amnesia is slowly going away. And there are all these various things that are happening within your reality that all of you have constructed together and you're constructing for yourself to aid you in remembering who you are, which is you being able to experience who you actually are, even within the physical dimension. So when we reference the natural self, that in fact is what we were speaking of.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
You said that we will be regaining our memory back, not having so much amnesia. Um, will that happen in our physical lifetime?
If you choose to have it happen, it will. With the, and we've mentioned this previously, your shift began as your 1900s came in. What you did was you provided yourself with a variety of things in that century. You provided yourself with information about the deeper parts of who you were. You provided yourself with an increasing momentum in how things changed around you and a variety of other things. You brought many, many, many things to the forefront. You, shall we say, laid the foundation about what this shift was going to be about. You created momentum. As your new millennium and your new century showed up, what you did was, in effect, you inserted the action of your shift into your reality. In other words, it's not just now becoming familiar with the idea of it, it's about living it and beginning to have more and more experiences of that actual change within yourself. Now, that's not that. That didn't happen with some individuals before, but now it's all of you. And all of you, of course, will do it differently. Some of you, in your choice to participate with all the things that are going on with this shift in consciousness, may not choose to stick around because you'd like to do other things. Again, it's your exploration. But you have the choice. Now, we will mention something here as well. There's a phenomenon that occurs within consciousness, and actually it occurs all the time. We'll just put it that way. So, we'll use this particular language because, from your perspective, it'll make it easier, we believe. There's the idea of this oversoul, and that there are many, 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 many of you as a soul, perhaps we'll say, right, that are part of this oversoul. And when you finish, you know yourself as the oversoul. And so, in the past, what you have done prior to this millennium is we'll use this language, the agreement that all of you have had is that your lifespan will go only so far. Now, with you inserting your shift in this new dimension, in this new century and in this millennium as you began it, you've changed those guidelines. If you would like to, you can extend your physical existence for quite a long period of time if you would like. Now, it may be that the original plan that the oversoul had when it entered into this dimension was not to have that be part of its experience. In other words, to withdraw from the experience and not have that be part of what they were doing. as, again, what we'll call in this moment, the focused personality of that more expansive you, we'll just use that language in the moment. If you choose otherwise in that moment, you create a brand new oversoul, you, and you go your own direction. You have that ability. In fact, you had it before, but as far as this theme is concerned, you now have it in this new century and millennium. If you want to choose to live for 2, 3, 4, 500 years, you will, and you will do it because you have an interest and an inspiration and an excitement to explore all the changes that are going on around you, not because you fear the cessation of your existence. Approached that way, individuals will find themselves struggling, although you may choose to do it anyway. That is a later conversation, which we will expand on those ideas a little bit. But
Thank you.
yes, you have given yourself that choice now. It is different.
Thank you. You've given me a lot to think about. Thank you very much.
So much that you consider to be the way life was and why you did life the way you did, how you did life the way you did, the experience that you could expect from life as you did those things will alter for you and around you. You will find your personal experiences and your global experience to move in increasingly different directions. It is because all of you, as you're aware, are creating your individual experience of your reality. What you're moving towards is your ability to do that regardless of what anybody else is doing. What can be difficult to understand is that because the way that consciousness moves and flows together, everybody can do that and still have a very cohesive and comprehensive expression being expressed on your planet. It's just that you don't know how that's going to work. And because by and large, you've attempted to steer all those things from the intellectual, logical, rational aspect of yourself for a very long period of time in terms of time, that's something that you don't really believe can occur, something that you're a little bit frightened of moving in that direction in because you are unfamiliar with allowing the intuition to guide you totally. You attempt to use your rational mind, your logical mind, what many individuals would call that ego aspect of yourself. And again, that's not wrong. That provide you with a particular type of an experience. But now you're changing that experience, but it's unfamiliar to you from the experiences that you have had. It's not unfamiliar to you in really what you are and how you understand yourself to be. But until you regain your memory of who and what you are, it will feel unfamiliar. But it will be less and less and less so all the time, especially as you allow yourself to push your boundaries a little bit and make choices a little bit beyond what you might typically do. Listening to the intuitional expressions that you have, listening to your impressions, listening to your impulses, paying attention to your dreams, your daydreams, all the ways that we'll say in the moment, inner you, wider you, embracing you, encompassing you, is sharing information with you. As you trust yourself in that regard, you will find that your environment responds to that. It must, because again, it's reflection of what you are projecting. Is there anything else? Then once again, we would share how enjoyable it is to share energy and connection with all of you. And and express that you're becoming familiar, that things can happen easier for you. You're having periods where you're in that flow for certain periods of time and seeing the results of those. You're having connections with individuals show up in your life that you never had before that are supportive instead of the other way around. You are having connections with non-physical aspects of consciousness that are supporting you and giving you information. And all those things will continue. And they're all there to help you, to aid you in this transformation of your experience in a way that is as mild as it can be. So the help is always there. It'll show up. Asking for it is helpful, of course, which you've come to understand. And understand this as well. You're never really ever doing anything wrong. You may be influenced and misunderstand sometimes, and then again see the reflection of that. But you're never doing everything wrong. In fact, there's never a version of you that the rest of you doesn't totally celebrate you expressing yourself as. Never a version of you. Because again, this is an exploration of this dimension. And you do it, and you have done it, and many, 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 many others have done it in many, many, many different ways. And all of those are very, very, very firmly, shall we say, embraced by that more encompassing you that, from the more common perspective, expresses itself within the experience. So always look to the beneficial things that you are accomplishing, because what we'll share with you at this moment is that you really have no idea. You will at some point, once you understand more of who and what you are, but in this moment, you have no idea of all of what your existence in each hour and each day lends to all of what's going on around you. But at some point, you will understand that. So with that, we'll bid you all a very nice and warm good evening.